I disagree.
He looks fantastic. We start with 50. Wardell. Bruise Warriors win it. On the road, mind you.
Oh, yeah. I heard something about the road, how tough it was.
Behind the most points ever in a Game 7. Here's how the Warriors reacted post-game.
Big picture, this is one of the great players in the history of the game. But that's how I felt, back when in my playing days, with Michael Jordan. You'd see it night after night, so you just took it for granted.
Gosh, what an incredible performance. This is a Game 7 I'll forever remember as the Steph Curry game, and he's just a joy to watch and play with.
So who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't note that during the game, Steph Curry pounded a mock beam and asked us to light the beam.
Nick,
don't you dare.
You heard Steph.
Don't you
Go ahead. I'm going to let you do the honors. You heard Steph. Light it. That's right. Light the beam. The freaking beam. I love this beam. I love this beam. Yeah, boy. A yellow beam. A gold beam. That's much better than that purple nonsense we saw a couple weeks ago.
Have you no respect for Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, Tiny Nate Archibald, and the greats of Kings Pay? You're going to Okay.
Patient
what
was
an
there.
Outrageous
I love this beam.
disrespect
nice beam.
for the Sacramento Kings.
Okay.
This is really what we're doing.
No, now. Okay. Now we're going to.
Now we're going to be serious?
Question. Yes.
Okay, good.
Do you want to apologize to the Warriors faithful for disrespecting one of the best players, one of the best franchises?
That's how it works. Go ahead.
I will apologize to one person and one person only, and that is Steph Curry. I will apologize to Steph Curry. I will not apologize to Warrior fans who were grumbling about Steve Kerr after Game 6, wondering if they let the better coach leave to go to Sacramento. They get no apology.
Okay.
I will not apologize to Chris Broussard for what? Brew is a facts, not a feelings guy. Well, it's very interesting you say that. Tale of the tape. Who got Kings Warriors more correct? This guy or that guy? Check out the tale of the tape.
Hold on.
So
who is that guy? First of all, I don't even know who that is.
Brew happened to get the winner right. I got the length exactly right, and I said I got one game wrong. Brew had Warriors in 5 far off. Kevin Wilds. Should I apologize to Kevin Wilds? Kevin Wilds mocked me personally, professionally, on the air, off the air. Why? Because I acted like, the injury to the Kings' best player and the only person in the history of the league to win the Jerry West Award for the most clutch player in the NBA. That is the only guy. All of NBA history, one guy's won it. Jerry West didn't even win the Jerry West Award. That's how clutch De'Aaron Fox is. That, an injury to his dominant hand might hamper him. Tale of the tape. Let's see. De'Aaron Fox, pre and post injury. How did he look? Well, pre-injury, he was unguardable. Post-injury, he couldn't stop turning the ball over, couldn't make a shot, and that was the difference.
Went up.
His assist went up because he had to, because he couldn't shoot and he couldn't dribble. It's almost like the other team's best player got hurt. And now we're apologizing. I got to listen to Draymond, all these guys say, bad sportsmanship. Yeah, people usually don't want to shake your hand after you try to collapse their lungs with your size 15 feet. So no, I am not apologizing. I do think, all things equal, with a healthy De'Aaron Fox, the Kings are a better team.
Oh, my God.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I've had to listen for 3 years that the Nets would have beat the Bucks if their second and third best player didn't get hurt. This was the Kings' best player. But I don't want to miss the forest for the trees, bro. The reason the Warriors won Game 7, which was a great game for a half and then a laugher in the second half, was because one of the greatest players ever had one of the greatest games of his career. I don't know if I'm ready to call this the best game of his career. It was one of the best games ever of his career. It was the most, no one has scored, the only person to score 45 in a Game 7 win in the last 60 years is LeBron, and now Steph as well.
60 years.
In the last 60 years, because when you see the guy, the most points, Dominique lost. Durant lost a couple years ago. Usually LeBron once scored 45 and lost against Boston back in 08. So what Steph did was amazing, and I don't even know that I underestimated him, but I guess I did, because I didn't think he was going to be able to do that. And he was awesome in the first half, and he was even better in the second half. Apologize. No, I'm not going to apologize. I think I was on the right side of this. Got unlucky with an injury, and you know it.
No,
you
I
were
don't.
so nervous after Game 6. You're so lucky we weren't on TV. I read the text. You said they're not dead yet. That's all you could muster.
What?
Was not dead yet.
They weren't, because you were celebrating. We're charging the beam. And little emojis of a purple dot or whatever the heck that was. We're charging the beam. And I said, I stood Wilds 10 toes down like I always do. And I said, we are not dead yet. I didn't want to gloat. I wanted to let you celebrate, because we didn't have the show. You couldn't do the beam. I wanted to let you have your moment. But I was like, we are not dead yet. And Wilds, what was it? Championship pedigree.
You're teaming up. You have so
Nick,
many
all I
catchphrases. I don't know which one.
Every other month I heard.
You got right. This part you got right.
In December, they were 15 and 15.
Okay, they were.
In February, they were 25 and 25. In March, they were 35 and 35. That's who they are.
Games, they were 3 and 3. That is who they were. They won a Game 7. But you were right. The championship pedigree showed up in Game 7. You were right.
Thank you. And you did give Steph his props. We'll get to Steph. But it was even better than most people realize. Because, number one, he had 1 turnover.
Yep.
50 points, 1 turnover in all the way he was handling the ball. No teammate scored more than 17 points.
Well,
no teammate scored more than 17 points.
I don't know if I'm putting that as one being
That's
awesome.
big.
Well, yeah.
And maybe this will convince you, Wilds. Clay, Jordan Poole, and Andrew Wiggins combined to shoot 27%.
That wasn't great.
Your next 3 best players or scorers combined to shoot 27%.
It was one of the worst big
if he doesn't go berserk, absolutely.
One of the worst big games I've ever seen.
And I want him to keep shooting, because he can get hot, and he did hit, he hit a big one here or there. But this was a phenomenal performance by Steph. And I think you've understood this over the years, Nick, but I think generally people have not. Steph's ball handling, passing, and finishing at the rim has always been underrated. Like, we all, for the most part, recognize he's the greatest shooter ever. But I've said he's a top 5 ball handler ever, and he's a great passer. He doesn't get a ton of assists because of the way they play, but he's a great passer, and he is an awesome finisher. And people start to see it. Now, this looks almost relatively new, the new George Gervin finger rolls he's doing, which are crazy. But he's always been a great finisher and a scorer in the mid-range. And people get kind of like Jordan. They used to get caught up in, his athleticism and one-on-one play, that people just focused on that. They get with Steph, they focus on his three-point shooting and neglect to really credit him for all the other great things he does, particularly finishing at the rim. So just obviously a historic all-time performance. And I got to give props to Kevin Looney.
Thank you. Before I got Kevin,
my gosh.
Kevin
You got
Looney.
something for him?
Oh,
okay,
my
good.
gosh.
He was awesome.
Look, he wasn't
they don't win without him.
He wasn't the main star. He didn't play the main stage at Coachella, but he dominated that second stage. So I think Steph's obviously the story. But Kevin Looney on the court, they were plus 36. The offensive rebounds, I mean, he's just kicking the ball back out. Guys are getting Warriors getting 2 chances for the score, 3 chances to score. Eventually, you know me, Nick, I like to play the odds. Eventually, that's going to work out for
Steph famously now gave this big pregame speech.
Right.
None of his teammates responded to it, except for Looney.
Okay.
No, that's why. But Steph gives this speech talking about how if you don't believe you're going to win, don't come to the arena. And then Steph responds himself by not only a great game, but the 38 field goal attempts is a remarkable performance because that's not who he is. That's never been who Steph is. He's never been a guy that's shooting at that volume, but he knew his team needed it. The fact that Clay didn't have it, and Wiggins didn't have it, and Draymond didn't really have it, and Poole hadn't had it the whole series, and Looney found a way to just get them, and there is nothing more demoralizing. I can't imagine what it's like playing against the Warriors in this setting. I know what it's like gambling against them. But when you get a stop and all of a sudden it turns into an open Steph Curry three because you don't get the rebound. And where I will say I was dead wrong on this series because I think that the Kings earned your respect more than they had it.
Yep.
And I don't think
they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
The thing I got the most wrong, Wilds, was I assumed incorrectly that Domantas Sabonis, his play would translate regular season to postseason.
Nope.
It not only did it not translate, it went so far in the other direction. Now, maybe part of that was he got his chest stepped on. He got a black eye. Yeah. He was beat up, but he was outwilled the entire second half by Looney.
Yeah, early on, and that's one of the big things yesterday. The rebounding, in the first few games when Sacramento was up 2-0, the offensive rebounds, they were killing the Warriors. And yesterday, now I know they ended up with 14 offensive rebounds. A lot of it probably came in the second half. But it was like Looney just shut all of that down. And they weren't getting second shots, and then everybody was off, and that changed the whole series.
All right, Steph becomes the 10th player in NBA history to score 50 or more in a series-clinching victory. He's the only one to do it in Game 7. He joins the likes of Jordan, Wilt, Barkley, more recently KD and Giannis. Also joins Bruce's top 10 list. Top 10 all time. End of discussion.
From
now, Brew,
Milburn, New Jersey.
I know you put a period there.
Yeah, South Orange.